The message of the movie is to be that. That's the message that they wrote a script that's telling girls, I don't need nobody tells me I'm a 20-year-old girl, so obviously I should run my mouth all the time.
Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
Nobody wants a movie about true love? What kind of woman do we want out there seeking true love, Eliana? The outrage.
I wanted my money back. It was very disappointing.
They are pretending like Rachel Zegler is the first of them all when she looks like Lord Farquaad in the film.
Disney's 2025 Snow White remake was meant to be a fresh take on a beloved classic, but instead, it became one of the year's most talked about flops. From casting controversies and CGI dwarfs to box office disappointment, fans are asking, has Disney lost its magic?
That's the theme of the new Snow White.
No, really?
Yes! She made the cardinal error of saying free Palestine on Twitter. So she could say all that men are bad and it's this and that, but once you do that, now they've put the entire weight of the failure upon her.
Rachel Zegler's casting as Snow White may have been a bold choice on paper, but it quickly turned into a lightning rod for backlash. It didn't take long for the internet to start digging. Old tweets, awkward interviews, and controversial statements resurfaced in waves, creating a storm of negative press that Disney didn't seem prepared for. Many fans felt that Zegler's attitude toward the original film came off as disrespectful, with clips circulating of her calling the classic weird and outdated. That alone might have been enough to stir some trouble, but it escalated quickly when she appeared to mock the idea of a prince saving the princess, something hardcore Disney fans saw as outright rejection of the story's core. Critics claimed she was biting the hand that fed her, and others said she was trying too hard to distance herself from the character she was cast to play. Rumors started swirling that Disney was internally regretting the casting choice, with some insiders allegedly saying they hadn't anticipated how polarizing she'd become. Fans also speculated that Zegler's social media was being tightly controlled after the backlash, with several of her posts suddenly disappearing and her tone shifting overnight.
Every way that Disney changed the story, it changed it for the worse.
The new Disney boss babe, who is Rachel Zegler, the inverse of happy.
So she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
Whether it was damage control or a planned media strategy, the change was obvious, and it did little to quell the growing frustration. Her involvement became so controversial that online petitions to recast her actually gained traction, and even major YouTube creators dedicated full videos to calling out what they saw as an actor too smug to respect the role. Regardless of intent, Zegler became a symbol of the cultural clash happening within the film. And for better or worse, she became one of those remake's most talked about elements. When Disney revealed that the iconic Seven Dwarfs were being replaced with a diverse group of magical creatures, the internet exploded, and not in a good way. Many saw the move as an overcorrection, accusing Disney of erasing classic characters in the name of modern optics. What started as an attempt to avoid outdated stereotypes turned into a full-blown PR nightmare. Leaked set photos only made things worse, showing a bizarre lineup of characters that looked more like they belonged in a community theater production than a high-budget film. Critics mocked the decision as tone-deaf, and some even compared it to satire. But behind the scenes, things were reportedly even more chaotic. Rumors claimed there was an internal battle over how to handle the dwarf characters, with some execs allegedly warning that removing them entirely would be brand suicide. Actor Peter Dinklage, who originally criticized the use of dwarfs in the film, later clarified his comments, but by then, the damage had already been done.
Now, I'm guessing that she's not married. I'm guessing that she doesn't have kids. The movie is a complete disaster, by the way.
Rachel Zegler, she's an...
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite...
Fan outrage snowballed, with many accusing Disney of trying to fix a problem that didn't exist, and others pointing out that removing the dwarfs entirely was just as offensive in a different way. Some advocacy groups for the dwarfism community even released statements expressing disappointment, saying the roles could have been a rare opportunity for meaningful representation. Online, fans dubbed the replacements the Discount Fellowship of the Ring, mocking their appearance and questioning their relevance to the story. Whether this new lineup was intended to be empowering or just another checkbox on a diversity list, it clearly missed the mark for a huge portion of the audience, and the controversy only fueled the perception that Disney was scrambling to please everyone while pleasing no one. One of the more baffling decisions in the 2025 remake was the near-total removal, or rewriting, of the Prince character, a move that sparked another firestorm of online debate. The traditional romantic arc between Snow White and the Prince was all but erased, replaced with vague themes of self-discovery and independence. While the original tale centered around love and sacrifice, the remake seemed almost allergic to those ideas, treating romance as an outdated relic. Critics blasted the film for stripping away one of the core emotional threads that made the original work. Some accused Disney of projecting modern relationship politics onto a fairy tale that was never meant to be a feminist manifesto. Rumors suggested the studio was terrified of being accused of promoting non-consensual kissing, so they opted to eliminate the kiss scene altogether, something that fans found absurd. Others speculated that the Prince was originally part of the story, but was later written out after early test screenings showed discomfort with the romantic themes. There's even been unverified buzz that Disney filmed multiple versions of the ending and scrambled last minute to settle on one that wouldn't offend online critics. Whatever the truth is, the absence of the Prince was impossible to ignore, and it left many viewers wondering whether Disney had lost confidence in storytelling basics. Even progressive critics found the choice puzzling, asking whether avoiding all romance was really the best way to update the story. In trying to modernize the narrative, it seems Disney may have thrown out more than just the problematic parts. They might have accidentally gutted the heart of the tale. Behind the polished trailers and tightly edited promotional clips, the actual production of the Snow White remake was reportedly a logistical nightmare. From the outside, delays were blamed on creative refinement or schedule adjustments, but insiders and leakers painted a far messier picture. Multiple entertainment scoops claimed that the film went through at least 3 rounds of reshoots, each one allegedly spurred by negative test audience reactions and online backlash. According to whispers from the set, early screenings left execs panicked. Audiences were confused by the story changes, turned off by the tone, and underwhelmed by the performances. There were even claims that entire subplots were rewritten mid-filming, with crew members complaining they had no clue what version of the story they were even working on anymore. At one point, a now-deleted Reddit post from a supposed Disney visual effects staffer alleged that entire scenes were reshot just to reduce screen time for certain characters after social media blowback. Meanwhile, fans noticed that the film's release date kept sliding further back, leading many to speculate that Disney was scrambling to salvage a project that was already off the rails. Some insiders claimed the budget ballooned by tens of millions, with post-production dragging on for months longer than planned. It's even been said that parts of the CGI work were outsourced to international vendors at the last minute to meet deadlines, sparking concerns about visual quality and worker burnout. While Disney never confirmed the chaos, the unusually long silence between marketing updates only added fuel to the rumors that the film was undergoing behind-the-scenes surgery to avoid a total flop. Merchandise has always been Disney's secret weapon, turning box office hits into billion-dollar empires, but Snow White's merch rollout was anything but magical. What should have been a flood of toys, costumes, dolls, and collectibles ended up looking more like a trickle, and fans were quick to notice. Retail insiders and leakers suggested that Disney had scaled back merchandising plans dramatically, citing concerns over unpredictable reception and market risk. That's a nice way of saying they were worried it wouldn't sell, and they were probably right. Early prototypes of the new Snow White doll reportedly got poor feedback in focus groups, with kids unable to recognize the character and parents calling the design too bland or unappealing. There were even rumors that one line of toys was canceled after internal backlash from senior brand managers who felt it didn't align with Disney's legacy aesthetic. Meanwhile, legacy fans staged informal boycotts, swearing off merchandise in protest over the film's perceived disrespect for the classic tale. On social media, hashtags like #NotMySnowWhite and #BoycottDisney trended for weeks, with users urging others not to buy anything tied to the remake. Some store managers allegedly reported unusually high returns and stagnant inventory, especially on the collectible side, where items tied to previous Disney princesses usually fly off shelves. Behind closed doors, industry analysts whispered that the studio's once bulletproof merchandising strategy had been exposed, showing that even the Mouse House can fumble when it loses sight of its core audience. And with merchandise profits often eclipsing the box office itself, the underwhelming response may have hurt more than the film's reviews ever could. Public image matters more than ever in today's digital landscape, and Rachel Zegler's press tour for Snow White quickly turned from a marketing opportunity into a reputational mess. What started as a standard promo circuit spiraled into meme-worthy moments, viral backlash, and endless Twitter threads dissecting every word she said. One of the most infamous clips featured Zegler claiming she watched the original once and didn't like it, followed by a string of comments that critics labeled as arrogant, dismissive, or just plain tone-deaf. Fans were shocked, not just because she was insulting a beloved Disney classic, but because she seemed to do so with such casual disdain. It didn't help that she made other statements implying the original was creepy or anti-feminist, which rubbed traditional Disney lovers the wrong way. But here's where things get murky. Some industry insiders whispered that Zegler's talking points were not entirely her own, and that PR handlers allegedly encouraged her to take a bold, empowered stance to align with the film's updated messaging. If that's true, it may explain the strange mix of confidence and clumsiness that marked her interviews. At one point, it looked like the studio stepped in. Her tone softened, her comments became more careful, and the social media onslaught slowed. There was even speculation that Zegler's team was quietly deleting older posts or filtering press requests to avoid further damage, but the internet doesn't forget, and clips continued to resurface with every new wave of criticism. Some fans even accused her of ruining her own career before the film even dropped, while others saw her as a scapegoat for Disney's broader missteps. Either way, her media blitz became a cautionary tale in how a few bad interviews can snowball into an unshakable public narrative. When Gal Gadot was first announced as the evil queen, it seemed like a genius move, an A-list star with international recognition and a built-in fan base. But as more footage came out, fans began to question whether her talent had been wasted on a character that felt more like a cameo than a true villain. Rumors swirled that her screen time was dramatically reduced in late-stage edits, with some suggesting Disney feared giving the villain too much presence might distract from the lead actress or clash with the film's empowerment themes. It's also been said that Gadot's performance was intentionally toned down, with notes reportedly urging her to play it cold, not camp, which critics later blasted as a massive misstep. Early viewers who saw leaked previews claimed Gadot's scenes felt disconnected from the main story, almost like they were added in post to boost star power. Some even questioned whether her casting was a last-minute decision meant to attract global markets, particularly in territories where her name carries more weight than the Snow White brand. Behind the scenes, insiders hinted at scheduling conflicts that forced the crew to shoot her entire arc in a matter of days, which might explain why her storyline felt rushed or half-baked. Fans who were hoping for a show-stopping villain performance like Charlize Theron's in Snow White and the Huntsman were left disappointed, and critics slammed the portrayal as a glossy afterthought. For an actress known for playing Wonder Woman, the Evil Queen role seemed like it should have been iconic, but instead it became another example of the film's struggle to balance legacy, star power, and modern messaging. While public criticism dominated headlines, what flew under the radar was how much internal backlash Disney faced within the industry itself. Behind the scenes, the Snow White remake didn't just ruffle the feathers of fans, it quietly triggered a wave of discontent among filmmakers, writers, and even some former Disney veterans. According to industry gossip, several high-profile directors and producers, many of whom had previously worked with Disney, began distancing themselves from the company's increasingly risk-averse, agenda-driven creative approach. One well-known screenwriter reportedly called the Snow White script unrecognizable drivel in a leaked text exchange, while another ex-Disney animator allegedly claimed the film betrayed everything Walt built. And this wasn't just behind closed doors. A few filmmakers took thinly veiled jabs on social media, criticizing the trend of gutting classic stories to score online points. Rumors even suggest that executives at competing studios were quietly thrilled to see Disney stumble, using it as a rallying cry for more authentic storytelling in their own pitches. There were whispers of talent walking away from negotiations, citing concerns over micromanagement and narrative constraints. One insider source claimed that some actors were warned not to speak too candidly about the project in interviews, especially if they disagreed with its direction. Even within the Mouse House, reports claim that several longtime staffers were growing frustrated with upper management's decision-making. While Disney kept up appearances publicly, behind the scenes, the ripple effect of Snow White may have caused more reputational damage than any of their previous misfires. Every film leaves material on the cutting room floor, but in the case of the 2025 Snow White, the list of deleted scenes and scrapped subplots is almost as long as the movie itself, and fans are starting to ask what exactly Disney was trying to hide. Leaks from test screenings and anonymous crew members have painted a picture of a drastically different movie, one that was reportedly tonally darker, politically edgier, and far more divisive than the final cut. One scene that reportedly drew massive backlash involved the evil queen confronting Snow White in a reimagined sequence that many test viewers felt portrayed the protagonist in a morally gray light, potentially undermining the film's entire message of empowerment. That scene, according to a Reddit leak, was swiftly cut. Another rumored deletion involved a subplot about the dwarves' replacement characters, referred to in leaks as the magical outsiders, which allegedly hinted at backstories involving war, displacement, and trauma. Disney reportedly axed it entirely after execs feared it was too heavy for younger viewers and too politically loaded for older ones. Fans have speculated that one male character who briefly appears in the teaser was originally meant to be a major supporting figure, but had his role reduced after feedback labeled him as problematic or unnecessary. Some even believe that a romantic arc was stripped out late in production after early feminist critiques warned that it would undercut Snow White's independence. The real kicker? None of this has been acknowledged by Disney, yet fans remain convinced that the movie we got was a Frankenstein's monster of last-minute edits and studio panic, a sanitized version of something much messier, riskier, and more interesting. A few PR experts have speculated that Disney is even avoiding interviews and red carpet events to reduce the chances of the cast going off script. Whatever the reason, the lack of clarity has only made the backlash worse, with fans demanding answers and even former employees calling the silence cowardly. Disney's decision to remain tight-lipped may be its most damaging PR misstep yet. At this point, the big question looming over the entire Snow White saga is simple. Is this remake already destined to flop? Despite the months of media coverage, speculation, and frantic studio efforts to rewrite the narrative, the general buzz surrounding the film remains overwhelmingly negative, and there are signs that Disney knows it. Insiders suggest that expectations for the opening weekend box office have been drastically lowered, with executives allegedly preparing spin strategies ahead of time. Some sources even claim there have been internal conversations about how to redefine success, possibly by emphasizing streaming performance or audience engagement metrics over traditional ticket sales. But many believe it's too little, too late. The damage has already been done, and fans, especially those who grew up with the original, are walking into this remake with skepticism, if not outright hostility. On social media, the film is being openly mocked, dissected, and memed months before release, which is never a good sign for a high-budget fantasy epic. Worse still, reports suggest that Disney had once planned a broader Snow White universe, including potential spin-offs or theme park tie-ins. Those plans are now, according to unverified sources, on indefinite hold, pending the film's performance. If this movie fails, and many believe it will, it could put the entire live-action remake pipeline under serious scrutiny. Some are even calling this Disney's turning point, predicting that it may finally force the studio to rethink its strategy of reimagining old IPs with modern messaging. Whether Snow White becomes a cult curiosity or a cautionary tale depends on what happens next. But as of now, all signs point to a film haunted by too many missteps, too many compromises, and a creative vision that never truly found its footing.